The Stranger in Dust. The sun burned low over Dust Vale County, spilling gold over miles of dry prairie grass. Wind whispered through the weathered barns, carrying the smell of gunpowder, whiskey, and heartbreak. Pause for drama. Out by the old Hollow Creek Ranch, a man rode slow, his shadow long across the land. His name was Caleb Hart, the kind of cowboy whose silence spoke louder than a sermon. His duster coat carried the dust of a dozen towns, and his revolver hung low, worn like his soul. Folks said he once shot a man for cheating him out of a horse. Others said he shot himself out of a life he didn't belong to. Truth was, Caleb didn't talk about the past. He just rode. Pause for drama. That morning, he rode into Silverstone town, looking for supplies, and maybe peace. The saloon doors creaked open, and a hush fell when he walked in. Women glanced. Men nodded careful. Even the piano man stopped mid-tune. He tipped his hat. "How y'all doing?" he muttered. At the barkeep squinted. "Ain't seen you round, stranger." "Don't reckon you have," Caleb replied. He ordered black coffee, no whiskey. That's when he saw her, standing near the corner table, sunlight spilling over her auburn hair like fire. Her name, though he didn't know it yet, was Clara Wynn. She was the rancher's daughter, known for her sharp tongue and her stubborn heart. Folks said she could ride harder than most men, and shoot straighter too. But today, her eyes looked tired, as if the world had asked too much of her. Pause for drama. She noticed him too, that stranger in dust. Something in his quiet drew her. Minutes passed before she walked over. "You don't look like you're from Silverstone," she said, voice smooth but wary. Caleb looked up from his cup. "Don't look like I belong anywhere, ma'am." "Don't ma'am me," she shot back with a half-smile. "Name's Clara." He nodded. "Caleb." The air hung thick with unspoken things. He liked the way she held her ground. She liked the way he didn't fill silence with nonsense. Pause for drama. Then the door slammed open. A group of men stomped in, led by Sheriff Wicks, his gray mustache twitching with authority. "Clara Wynn," he barked. "Your father's orders. You're to be wed before sundown." The saloon fell silent again. Clara froze. "What did you just say?" "Your pa made a deal, missy. The Wynn Rancho's debt to Mr. Tucker, and Tucker's agreed to forgive it if you marry his boy." Her jaw clenched. "That drunk snake? Over my dead body." Caleb's fingers twitched near his holster. The sheriff shrugged. "Don't make it hard, girl. Your pa's life depends on it. Shotgun wedding. Sundown." And just like that, he walked out, leaving dust and dread behind. Pause for drama. Clara's eyes burned. "They think they can sell me off like cattle." She turned away, fists trembling. Caleb watched, silent, then finally spoke. "That's a mean chain, miss. Sometimes only a fool cuts it loose." She met his gaze. "You calling yourself a fool, cowboy?" "Ma'am," he said softly, "I've been called worse." Pause for drama. By afternoon, word spread like wildfire. The Wynn girl's shotgun wedding. The preacher was fetched. The dress was pressed. And Clara was being dragged toward a fate she didn't choose. Caleb sat outside the saloon, hat pulled low, watching her carriage roll past. Every muscle in him said stay out of it. But his heart, that old, scarred thing, whispered otherwise. He stood, whistled low. His horse, Midnight, stomped once ready. By the time the sun hit the canyon ridge, Caleb was riding like the devil was behind him. Pause for drama. The church stood on the edge of town, white paint peeling, bell rusted silent. Inside, Clara stood before the preacher, face pale, voice locked. The groom, Eli Tucker, grinned smugly beside her, smelling of tobacco and arrogance. "Do you, Clara, win?" the preacher began. Then bang. The doors burst open. Caleb stepped in, dust swirling behind him like a storm. Every head turned. He walked slow, calm, his boots echoing like thunder. "Afternoon," he said evenly. "Heard there's a wedding." Sheriff Wicks moved. "This ain't your business, Hart." Caleb's hand hovered near his gun. "It is now." He looked at Clara. "You want to marry this man, miss?" Her voice trembled. "No." Caleb nodded once. "Then she ain't." Eli Tucker laughed. "Who's gonna stop me?" "You." Caleb smiled, A quiet, dangerous kind of smile. Reckon I will. Pause for drama, a long silence. Then, like lightning, the sheriff's hand went to his gun. But Caleb was faster. Bang! The bullet grazed the sheriff's arm. The crowd screamed, scattering. Eli Tucker stumbled back, falling into the pews. Caleb grabbed Clara's hand. Time to ride, darling. And out they went, through the church doors, into the burning sunset. Horses thundered. Bullets sang. Dust rose high as they fled toward the canyon. The sun dipped behind the hills, painting the sky blood-red. Pause for drama. When they finally stopped by a lonely campfire on the edge of nowhere, Clara turned to him, breathless. You just made yourself an outlaw, cowboy. He chuckled low. Ain't the first time. Her eyes softened. Why'd you do it? He looked into the flames. Didn't reckon a woman like you should lose her freedom, not for debt, not for anyone. Pause for emotion. The fire cracked. Wind whispered across the canyon. And for the first time, Clara smiled, not because she was free, but because she'd found someone willing to fight for it. But then, hoofbeats echoed from afar. The sheriff's men. Caleb's jaw tightened. He reached for his revolver. Looks like the night ain't done with us yet. Pause for drama. Hart's in the crossfire. The night roared with wind and gunfire. Caleb and Clara ducked behind the canyon rocks as sparks flew off stone. Stay low. Caleb shouted. I ain't some fragile doll. Clara snapped back, reloading his spare pistol. He grinned despite the chaos. Didn't reckon you were, darlin'. Pause for drama. The sheriff's men closed in, shadows moving across the moonlit ridge. Caleb fired twice. 2 horses reared back, riders tumbling. Then silence. Just wind. He glanced at her. You hurt? She shook her head. No. You. Only in places that don't bleed. Pause for emotion. When dawn broke, they rode deeper into the wilderness, across the flat plains, where only coyotes watched. They stopped by an old abandoned line shack, tucked between cottonwoods and silence. Clara built a small fire. Caleb cleaned his revolver, hands steady but eyes tired. You didn't have to come for me, she said quietly. Maybe I didn't, he replied. But I did. She smiled faintly. Guess that makes you my hero. He looked away. Ain't no hero left in me, Clara. Just a man too stubborn to walk away. Pause for emotion. Days passed. They hid from the law, rode through ghost towns, slept beneath endless skies. Some nights, they didn't speak at all, just listened to the fire crackle, hearts beating to the same quiet rhythm. But every morning, the bounty posters spread wider. Wanted, Caleb Hart, for kidnapping the Wynn girl. Alive or dead. Pause for drama. One evening, while the prairie glowed like molten gold, Clara stood by the stream, brushing her horse. Caleb approached slow. You think we'll ever stop running? She asked. He sighed. Running's all I ever done, Clara. But you deserve better. Her voice trembled. Maybe I just want you. That stopped him cold. He turned, saw the truth in her eyes. Slowly, he took her hand. Darlin', I don't got nothing left, but a heart that don't know how to quit. She smiled. Then that's all I need. Pause for emotion, slow music. Their lips met under the fading sun, a kiss carved in dust and desperation. But peace never lasts long in the West. Next morning, a rifle cracked from the ridge. The sheriff's posse had found them. Caleb shoved Clara behind the shack. Stay down. Bullets ripped through the wood. Caleb fired back. 2, 3, 4 shots. One man fell. Another charged. Then silence again. Sheriff Wick stepped out, leading arm in a sling. You can't run forever, boy. Caleb stepped into the open, revolver steady. Ain't running now. The sheriff smirked. Hand her over. I'll make sure the judge goes easy. Caleb shook his head. She ain't property. She's free. Pause, long tense silence. The sheriff raised his pistol. Bang. Dust rose. A crow screamed. When it cleared, the sheriff lay face down, his gun slipping from lifeless fingers. Caleb stood still, smoke curling from his barrel. Clara ran to him, trembling. You did what you had to. He nodded slowly. Yeah, but it don't change what comes next. Pause for drama. They both knew it. Killing a sheriff meant death. By nightfall, the prairie was quiet again. Caleb packed his saddle, hands shaking. "I'll ride north," he said softly. "Cross the border. You stay. Say I forced you. You'll be safe." Clara's eyes filled with tears. "No, Caleb, not again." He cupped her face. "You got a home to rebuild. A life to live. Don't waste it on a man who's already half ghost." She sobbed. "I love you, Caleb." He smiled faintly. "Reckon that's the first good thing I ever done, making you feel that." Pause, long emotional silence. Before sunrise, he rode away, just a shadow against the dawn. Weeks later, the lawmen came. They searched, but Caleb Hart was gone. Some said he crossed into Mexico. Others said the desert took him. Clara never spoke of it again. She rebuilt her father's ranch, strong and steady. But every evening, when the sun set red over the plains, she'd stand at the fence, listening. Sometimes, when the wind blew through the grass just right, it carried a whisper. "Darling," she'd close her eyes and smile through the tears. Because some love stories don't end. They just ride on beyond the horizon. Pause for final emotion. And the prairie wind still whispers their names.